We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We're here in the offices of J. Wyndal Gordon, Esquire, attorney at law, the warrior lawyer. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Donnie. How are you today?
Good, good.
Good.
Today being Friday, yesterday you were in court with the Werdesheim case.
The Werdesheim case was in court, indeed. Yeah.
What was what's the latest, the update?
Well, the update is that Gregg Bernstein's administration dropped the serious felony in this case. And although I was shocked, I wasn't surprised by his decision. It speaks volumes to what we thought all along, is that Gregg Bernstein is soft on Jewish hate crime, and that he never intended to allow the citizens of Baltimore City decide the facts and the evidence in this case and make a real determination as to the guilt or innocence of Eliyahu Werdesheim when he attacked my client on the streets of Park Heights for simply being black and in a predominantly Jewish community.
Were you expecting this?
Well, I suspected it because the day before the preliminary hearing, which was yesterday, but the day before that I had a meeting with Bernstein, and I asked him point blank, I said, were there any changes that you intend to make to this case? And then I asked him again, I said, do you intend to drop the felony charges? And he said, well, I'm not going to comment on the case. And I was like, well, to myself, I'm thinking, okay, I fall under the victim's rights statute. That is my position. I am the victim for all intents and purposes because I am his representative. And he is supposed to communicate with me so that I can report it to the family as to what the prosecutor's decisions are. And he failed to do that, and I thought that was odd. See, we're not in conflict with one another. We're supposed to be on the same team, more or less. And as a concerned victim, we want to know what the prosecutor's plans are. And he closed the door on that, and that was really wrong. So at that point in time, I knew that the fix was in and that something really bad was going to happen. Now, where this case stands today is there are only misdemeanors that he's been charged with. And I don't even believe this case went before the grand jury to even consider other charges such as the hate crime statute, which I really believe this case should be prosecuted as because of the nature of the evidence.
Okay, well, let's just, before we go too far, by definition, what is first-degree assault?
First-degree assault is when you have the intent to commit serious physical injury to a person. Serious physical injury would be if somebody beat you up to a pulp, if somebody took a brick, or in this case a walkie-talkie, and smacked you in the head with it multiple times to the point that you require stitches for your injuries. That's serious physical injury. That's what happened in this case, but in addition to that, my client also had his wrist broken, or that is, he had some bones fractured in his hands as a result of how they treated him. And in addition to that, when they threw him on the ground, they started rifling through his pockets as if they were going to take whatever it was that was in his pockets. That's an attempted robbery. So there are multiple crimes in this case that he wasn't even charged with. And all those crimes, if he was victimized because of because of that conduct, that would constitute a hate crime if it's solely because of his race. And in this particular case, the only reason why he was singled out and targeted was because he was a young black 15-year-old child in a predominantly white community. Now, what the Werdesheim people didn't know, or the Shamrim people didn't know, is that he grew up in this community. His grandmother lives in that community, and he's lived in that community off and on all of his life. So what you have here is a situation where he does belong in that community. He lives there. And the Werdesheim and Shamrim folks should have known that.
Okay, so by definition, assault in the first degree, number one, is a person may not intentionally cause or attempt to cause serious physical injury to another.
That's correct.
Okay, then the second piece
That's it.
That's it.
That's
End of
it.
story.
Really?
Okay, well, is this a hate crime?
I say it is a hate crime because you have a first-degree assault, and the reason for the first-degree assault was because of the person's race. He was singled out because of his race. That makes it a hate crime. So it's all right to be assaulted if you're just assaulted because you're in a fight with somebody. But if you're assaulted because you're an African American, or you're assaulted because you're a Jewish person or a white person, and solely for those reasons, that constitutes a hate crime. The elements are here in this case. This was a hate crime.
Okay, today, Friday, January 21st, earlier this morning, News Talk Radio, WOLB 1010 AM, the very station that we get to report on every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Well, the Larry Young Morning Show featured a gentleman who was an advocate for the Gregg Bernstein for State's Attorney, Mr. Warren Brown, someone who has been sort of mentor, big brother to you, if you will, in the
Yes,
legal community.
He's one of the godfathers.
But he, who has in fact used the media before to assist his clients, cautioned you that you should be very cautious about trying your case in the media, pretty much.
You know what? And I accept that advice. And coming from Mr. Brown, that's good advice. However, I'm not trying the case. I don't have a case in front of the media. This case, Gregg Bernstein's office is trying, and they're trying a case against Eliyahu Werdesheim. So I'm not in the case. I'm John Q. Citizen expressing my views. And thus, that's how I feel. Whatever case I intend to file in this matter has not been filed today, and it hasn't been filed since I've been expressing my views. I have a right under the First Amendment to do so, and I'm just exercising that right. But I do, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm not listening to Mr. Brown. I've got a lot of respect for Mr. Brown, and he knows it. And I do take what he said to heart.
Does any of this influence your sentiment about the city of Baltimore? That's, you know, over the past few weeks, we've interviewed you on the Werdesheim case. We've interviewed you regarding the police officer, Torbett, shot by Baltimore City Police 20 plus times here in the city of Baltimore. What are your broader thoughts as it relates to Baltimore City, State's Attorney's Office, race, specifically African Americans, and the criminal justice system, or the justice system here in Maryland, specifically the city of Baltimore? And we should acknowledge that you hail from the other majority black jurisdiction along with Baltimore, Prince George's County. So what does this say about race in the state of Maryland and the justice system?
Well, it says the same thing in the state of Maryland that it says all over this country. It's open season on African Americans from all walks of life, every field of human endeavor, whether you're a police officer, whether you are a judge, whether you are John Q. Citizen, whether you're a woman, child, or even baby, from healthcare to education to the criminal justice system. I can't think of a single field of endeavor where it's not open season on the African American male and African Americans in general. Now, Baltimore City, my problem with the leadership is that when you have issues like this,
Elected leadership?
when you have issues like this, and you don't want to deal with them appropriately, at least allow the citizens to deal with it. For instance, in the Eliyahu case, you know you have the evidence to support a first-degree assault. You know you have the evidence to support a hate crime. Even if it's just merely probable cause, that's enough to get the charge and allow the jury to decide. Now, why would you invade the province of the jury and not let them consider these things that occurred in their town? They have a right to be concerned about it. They have a right to judge it. These crimes are crimes to the people. That is, crimes against the people. That's why you have state of Maryland versus so-and-so. And when these crimes occur against the people, they have a right to decide those issues. Those issues should be presented before a jury. But I'll tell you the reason why they weren't. Because everybody knows, in the legal community at least, that if you had that hate crime statute, if you had that first-degree felony assault, Eliyahu Werdesheim would be convicted of it. And because all you have now is misdemeanor charges, the worst case scenario, even if he goes to trial and loses on all 3 remaining counts, he will get probation before judgment because of his background. And that is unacceptable, especially when there are more charges out there. Bernstein knows it. He knows it, that he doesn't stand a chance in front of a Baltimore City jury. That's why you heard their news conference release. That is Alperstein, the attorney for Werdesheim. He was relieved. I think that was the word he used, relieved, when he learned that the felony charges were no longer there. Because at that point in time, the die is pretty much cast that worst case scenario, he'll be all right. 3 years from now, he'll have this entire matter expunged from his record like it never occurred.
Will there be a civil case?
Yes. There will be a civil case. I believe that Eliyahu Werdesheim was out there working in conjunction with his company, Sayeret, which provides elite security for executives and ambassadors and people of the like. See, Eliyahu Werdesheim is a special forces officer. According to his website, he's been battle tested. That means people have fired weapons at him. And he's able today to start this security company called Sayeret. Well, on this day in question, we believe that Sayeret was volunteering with the Shamrim organization. And as a result, Sayeret, and not just merely Eliyahu Werdesheim, and some of the employees of Sayeret were responsible for this attack on my client. So at the end of the day, I think Sayeret is very much so responsible for this. I think that the Shamrim organization is responsible for this. I think that the two other individuals who are members of Sayeret and Shamrim, and I do have their names, and they will be hearing from me as well, will also be held responsible for this. So the Baltimore City, instead of not presenting this information to them, I intend to present this information to them because it seems like the only way we're going to get justice in this case is to bring forth a civil action. It's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's true. And people ask me, well, Mr. Gordon, you're doing this all because of money. You just want to win some money. I say, you know what? This case isn't about money. It's about accountability, and it's about justice. And we have yet to see that in this town. So that's what I intend to do, bring some accountability and bring some justice to this young man because he deserves it. Somebody needs to fight for the young people. Somebody needs to let them know that their lives are valuable and meaningful to us. And I think when the leadership fails to do it, when the state's attorney's office fails to do it, it's people like you and I, the citizenry of Baltimore City, who is left up to, and we'll do it. We'll get it done.
Thank you very much, J. Wyndal Gordon, attorney at law, the warrior lawyer. Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.